Alright boys, Hawkmoon has been in our hands now for a few weeks, and I have been using it off and on in PvE, trying to figure out a build with it to make it actually good and not just a waste of my exotic slot. Today, I can confidently say I have found that build, and it's more than good, it's crazy good. Shout out the Pop-Tart commercial. That's right boys, Papa myfi is back, and with me I bring a build that takes Hawkmoon to a whole new level. I'm talking Hawkmoon with Dragonfly. I'm talking Hawkmoon with the ability to create Warmind cells. But before we do get started, real quick, if you're new and only if you enjoy my videos or have ever found them useful, then feel free to subscribe. I'd appreciate you. Also, my code myfi, will currently get you 30% off all G Fuel products. G Fuel is the only product with NASA, that's right, NASA, backed research for increasing your God roll drops here in Destiny 2. So I'm just saying, if you want more God rolls, then I'd better pick some up while you still can, if I were you. Okay, to the video. So you know how we do build videos around here. We are first going to go over everything you're going to need for this build, then explain how everything works in conjunction with one another, and finally put this build in action. First up is our weapons. For our kinetic, of course, Hawkmoon, that's the title of the video. Our energy is the first in, last out slug shoddy, and for our power weapon, we have the good old falling guillotine. Next is our armor. Now, you are going to need to be on a Warlock for this build to work because of Chromatic Fire, the exotic Warlock chest piece. Now for the mods of the build. First mod is Wrath of Rasputin, second mod is Burning Cells, and then third mod is Global Reach. Now you may have noticed that we are only using 3 mods, meaning we still have 2 other pieces of armor that mods can be slotted into. We'll discuss that in a minute. Now time to connect all the dots and understand how these different things, armor, weapons, mods, synergize together, because it's actually pretty nutty. This whole build works off of Chromatic Fire's exotic perk, Crystalline, God, I can't pronounce anything nowadays. Transistor. Crystalline, that's what I'm just gonna call it. Transistor states kinetic precision final blows create elemental explosions while using a light subclass. So now, as long as we are using a light subclass, more specifically Dawnblade, our Hawkmoon will have the ability, like Dragonfly, to get precision kills and make enemies explode, damaging other nearby enemies. Now, the reason we are on Dawnblade is because what light subclass you're using also correlates to what element the explosion created by Chromatic Fire is when you get a precision kill with Hawkmoon. Now, we need this element to be solar to activate our Warmind Cell mods. If we take a look at Wrath of Rasputin, we will see that it states solar splash damage final blows have a chance to create Warmind cells. So now, whenever we get a precision kill with Hawkmoon and the enemy explodes, if they explode close enough to damage and kill another enemy, then there is a chance for a Warmind cell to be created. But we aren't stopping there. The next mod, Burning Cells, states destroying a Warmind cell creates a burst of solar energy that causes enemies to burn for several seconds. This mod, in conjunction with the Wrath of Rasputin mod, is going to allow your Warmind cells, when destroyed, to damage other enemies and create more Warmind cells. Burning Cells causes Warmind cells to do solar splash damage, and Wrath of Rasputin creates Warmind cells when enemies are defeated with solar splash damage. A perfect combo. Now we are going to take this even further, literally with Global Reach. Global Reach causes Warmind cells to affect enemies at a greater distance, hence further. In simple terms, the explosion of the cell is bigger. Now that we know how all of our mods are working with one another, what about the other 2 pieces of armor that I don't have mods slotted into? Well, those are kind of up to you. I personally use those 2 mod slots for Charge with Light mods, more specifically Taking Charge, where I become charged with light after picking up an Orb of Power, and then Protective Light, where I take significantly less damage when I'm charged with light and my shields become broken. I pretty much always recommend Protective Light as a mod you should use because it helps with survivability and overall just keeping you alive in higher difficulty activities. You can use Protective Light and Taking Charge or any other 2 mods you see fit really. The choice is yours. Like for example, you could just go balls to the wall Warmind Cell mods and throw on Power of Rasputin for increased damage to enemies that are close to your Warmind Cell, or Warminds Protection for increased damage resistance to enemies that are also close to your Warmind cells. So now that you know how the main parts of the build works, why did I recommend First In, Last Out and Falling Guillotine as your other weapons? Well, that's because they're just baller weapons that work really well with Hawkmoon. Hawkmoon for your ad clearing weapon and for single target damage for majors and ultras when you get your paracausal shot times 7 up. First In, Last Out for your primary single target damage along with boss damage. And finally, Falling Guillotine for your main boss damage weapon. Now, of course, you might need to switch up these 2 weapons for boss fights that can't be dealt with in close range. But for the rest of just about everything in the game, this setup will be highly effective. So now that you know how everything works, let's run a quick scenario and put all this into action. You are on your merry way doing whatever activity you're doing. An enemy comes at you and starts shouting something in fallen language, and you're not quite sure what he said, but it was something along the lines of, "This EDZ ain't big enough for the two of us." You raise your Hawkmoon, and 20 of his fallen friends swarm you. You take one good place shot, nailing the enemy in the head. He explodes in a burst of solar damage thanks to Chromatic Fire. That solar explosion takes out a few of his friends, and a Warmind Cell is created thanks to Wrath of Rasputin. You then destroy the Warmind Cell, which takes out everything within a half-a-mile radius thanks to Global Reach. From one of the enemies that was killed by the solar Warmind Cell explosion, which is solar in the first place thanks to burning cells, another Warmind Cell spawns. Now, while all that was happening, you popped a few more fallen in the head, which caused more solar explosions, which created more Warmind Cells. Once you've hit enough precision shots, because, well, you're trying to go for as many precision shots as possible for the chance at Warmind Cell spawning, you hear the caw. And I'm not even going to try to mimic it because I would probably distort the hell out of the mic. Letting you know that Paracosmal Shot is charged and ready to go. Out of nowhere, a captain rushes you. You take the shot and lay him out instantly thanks to that huge bonus damage. You then just rinse and repeat, creating tons of Warmind Cells, clearing out rooms filled with adds in seconds thanks to Warmind Cells, dealing huge damage via one shot from your hand cannon, and taking on ultra/bosses with your trusty slug shotty and falling guillotine by your side. Now, some of you might be doubting this build, saying that it can't be that good and there's no way you're giving up your exotic slot in PvE for a hand cannon, but before you turn your nose to it, I highly recommend giving it a try. Not only is it effective, but it's also highly lethal, and most importantly, because Destiny 2 has been lacking this lately, it's fun. This build, in my opinion, is the best way to go about using Hawkmoon in PvE because you create Warmind Cells via your ad clearing weapon, which is the best way to go about creating or generating Warmind Cells. So if you're a major Hawkmoon enthusiast like myself, and just thinking about its return made you a little stiff, then you're definitely going to want to give this build a try. But now, real quick, before you head out, let me know in the comment section, what are your thoughts on Hawkmoon after having it for a few weeks? Do you think it lives up to its D1 counterpart? Do you think it's good in PvE? Do you think it's good in PvP? I personally think it's good in both PvE and PvE. But I'm curious as to what your all's thoughts on it are. Just let me know with a yes, I like it, no, I don't like it. If you want to expand on it, then by all means, go for it. With all that being said, the rest of the video is going to be some strikes I ran with this build, just so you can get a raw look at how this build performs in action. If you enjoyed the video, then feel free to drop a like, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.